Why, hello. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to your read aloud and your reading lesson. I'm going to read chapter 8, and then you're going to do a response. All right. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your own reading. All right. Chapter 8 on a ruined bridge. So remember, we left off with Ruku and Viji. They first got to the city, they went to the tea shop. They worked a little bit and got some food, but it doesn't look like it'll be a regular job because the man doesn't seem to be very nice. But as they were walking, they found an abandoned bridge. And as they got there and decided to stay for the night, another boy came named Mutu. He seems like kind of a silly guy, and he's like, you know, my boss, he's coming and he's going to go tishum, like being silly. So we left off with being introduced to Mutu and him saying, look, that's my boss. And we know that another boy is coming off like somewhere in the distance. All right, so chapter 8 on a ruined bridge. A boy at least a head taller than me, though just as skinny as Mutu, was walking up the bridge. He had a wild mop of red tingled black hair. A sack was slung across his shoulder, and he held a stick that was much sturdier and longer than Mutu's. Who are you? The tall boy said. Who are you? I said, drawing myself up to full height. I told you, Mutu said. He's the big boss. What are you doing on the bridge? The boy said. Your bridge? Why, didn't you build a better one? Like that? I pointed to the newer bridge. Kuti trotted over, sniffed the tall boy's bare feet, then wagged his tail. Ruku! You gave the tall boy a warm grin and poked yourself in the ribs, then jabbed me. Viji! I'm a rule. He flashed you a smile and then tried to look all stern. We live here. So do we, I said. Get out! Adrul said, so weakly that I guessed he was just putting on a show of protesting because Mutu was watching. We're already outside, in case you haven't noticed. I waved at the starry sky above, the twinkling river below. And I don't need your permission to sleep here. It's not like you inherited this from your dad. Get your own tarp, he said. It was as good as a yes. You're going to let them stay, Adol? Mutu said. We're staying. I gave him a smug smile. No letting. Adrul tickled Kuti behind the ears and then disappeared into his tent. Mutu crawled in after him. I found a relatively rubble-free patch of ground and spread out our sheet. Not that it made the ground any softer. Amma, you said, and looked all around us, as though our mother might pop out of the river and fly up through the hole in the bridge. Amma? I put my arms around you, but you kept crying her name. Kuti snuggled up to you and clutched one of his paws. He didn't seem to mind. Hugging him close like you used to hug your doll, you finally lay down on our sheet. Story? Maybe hearing the familiar words would take your mind off Amma, and my mind off the bumpy ground. Not wanting the boys to overhear, I lowered my voice to a whisper. Once upon a time, two sisters ruled the magical land. Fiji and Ruku, you put in. Yes, us. We used to be princesses, the two of us. We slept on a soft, pink pillows in a beautiful place. Every morning we'd wake to the sound of birds singing and the sight of peacocks dancing. White lotuses shone bright as stars in the lake at the center of our green garden. From this lake a silver stream slipped out beyond our palace gates into the rest of our kingdom. No one was ever thirsty because everyone could drink from that sparkling stream, and no one in our kingdom was cruel. Grown-ups never fought, and every child had all the dolls and toys they ever wanted. Dolls, you echoed? I was afraid you'd ask for Mariapachi again, but you didn't start fussing. Every morning you made beautiful bead necklaces and I read you stories. We had hundreds and hundreds of books. Every afternoon we rode horses that could gallop so fast we felt like we were flying. So clearly she's telling a story that's like a fantasy, right? It's kind of like a bedtime story that she makes up that includes them as characters. Usually I told you more about our horses or the wonderful fruits that grew in the orchard, but that evening I changed the story and added a new part. One day, an angry demon cast a spell over our kingdom. Plants withered, birds stopped singing, and the stream dried up. The demon tried to catch us, but we ran away and found a place, this new place where he can't find us. We won't stay here forever. When we're older and stronger, we'll leave. Together, we'll fight the demon, break his curse, and return to our lost kingdom, where we'll be princesses again. Viji and Ruku, I finished. Always together. Viji and Ruku, together? You asked. Always. Viji and Ruku, he repeated. Always together. We had no roof or walls to keep us safe, and that probably should have worried me more, but you seemed content. You pointed at the sky. Look, Viji. No roof means we get the best view of the pretty stars, right, Ruku? I said. Pretty, you agreed. We lay shoulder to shoulder and watched the stars sparkle, while Kuti slept beside us. Your eyes sparkled too. The light inside them pierced through my fog of worry. Okay, so for your response today, you have two questions on your read aloud slide. One is, what kind of people do you think Mutu and Arul are? What evidence can you find to prove that opinion? This should be 4 to 5 sentences. It needs to start with a topic sentence like, I think Mutu and Arul are blank. And then for evidence, you shouldn't just refer to something like they blank. I want you to rewind the video and find the text that gives an example that shows what kind of people they are. Okay? And I want you to give that example and explain why that shows they're that kind of person. And so that response itself should be 4 to 5 sentences. Your second response here, at the end of the chapter, Viji and Ruku go to sleep on the bridge. Viji and Ruku seem happy in the moment. Do you think this will be a good home for them? So again, this one's a little more based in your opinion, but I think 3 to 4 sentences. And if you think it will be a good home, I want you to find evidence that makes you think that. Like what was said in this chapter or a previous chapter that makes you think it will be a good home. Or if you don't, what's happened in the book or in this chapter that makes you think that it won't be. Okay? That's how you get your 3 to 4 to 5 sentences. So 2 solid responses today. Okay, thank you.